A young girl was being chased by Soviet soldiers in a tank. The soldiers intentionally aimed their bullets away from her, breaking down her mental defenses. But for her, being caught meant unspeakable humiliation. In the end, she couldn't escape. Soviet soldiers grabbed her. She fought back desperately, but the soldiers became even more excited. More and more soldiers joined in. This was Anna's 8th time being violated that day. Since the Soviet counteroffensive began, such atrocities happened daily, but for Soviet soldiers, this was their revenge against the Germans. Whenever they saw young, attractive German women, they lost all control. Thousands of German refugees fled to Berlin. Many German soldiers tried to join them in the city for a final stand. It was their last hope. But suddenly, a Soviet fighter plane appeared in the sky and rained bullets down on the civilians. To the Soviets at that moment, no German was innocent. After the shooting stopped, people rushed to climb onto military trucks. The German officers tried to stop the chaos by firing warning shots into the air. With so many refugees, the officers could only let the elderly, weak, and children board. Anna was lucky enough to get on a truck and traveled with the group to Berlin. But unfortunately, Berlin had already fallen. Only a few German soldiers remained, fighting desperately. Anna's boyfriend was among them. He raised a rocket launcher and destroyed a Soviet T-34 tank in one shot. But the more the Germans fought back, the crazier the Soviets became. They began sweeping through Berlin's streets, using attack dogs to drive out civilians. Men were immediately executed, while women were dragged down and assaulted. Anna stood on the street, unsure of what to do, and when she ran into her boyfriend, Carl, he embraced her tightly and saw the bruises on her face. He instantly knew what had happened. The two hid in a nearby building, ate their last piece of chocolate, and held each other close. But their luck didn't hold. Soviet soldiers found them. Carl charged out to fight, but he was immediately restrained by Soviet troops who began punching him in the stomach. As Carl was about to lose consciousness, Anna suddenly shouted that she would fulfill any of the soldiers' desires, but only if they spared her boyfriend. Though the Soviets pretended to agree, one soldier stabbed Carl's arm with a knife and then knocked him out with a punch. The soldiers then took Anna into another room. 3 minutes later, 2 Soviet soldiers walked out, their belts loosened. Meanwhile, Carl began to regain consciousness. He picked up a knife on the ground and was about to run upstairs to save his girlfriend when he heard Anna scream as she ran out of the room, and then 2 gunshots rang out. Carl forced himself to move despite his injuries and killed the Soviet soldiers with one swift slash. But it was too late. Anna lay lifeless on the floor, her body cold. Carl fell into despair.